Estonia is rarely the first country people dream about for years. It is not associated with luxury, hot weather, or huge megacities. Many people barely have a clear image of it at all. But that is exactly why Estonia can surprise people more than many better-known countries. The first impression here is silence. After the noisy cities of Europe, Estonia feels calm and even slightly cold. Clean streets, neat houses, very little chaos, and not many people. Sometimes it feels as if the country intentionally slows down the pace of life. Tallinn looks modern, yet cozy at the same time. The old town feels like scenes from a medieval movie, while nearby you can find glass offices of IT companies and modern neighborhoods. In Estonia, you almost immediately notice a sense of order. Everything is organized calmly and without unnecessary noise. People do not like showing off, rarely rush, and highly value personal space. For some, this atmosphere becomes a source of real comfort. For others, it creates a feeling of emotional distance. But the most important thing is that Estonia does not feel like a poor little country, as many people expect. On the contrary, it gives the impression of being a very modern and technological country that simply does not like unnecessary noise around itself.
Estonia is often called one of the most digital countries in the world, and that is not an exaggeration. Many processes here have long been moved online. Documents, banking services, business registration, government services. Everything works through the internet, quickly and conveniently. For people coming from countries with slow bureaucracy, it can sometimes feel almost unreal. Here, you can open a company in a very short time, solve many issues online, and rarely deal with long lines. That is exactly why Estonia has become well known far beyond Europe, especially in the world of technology and startups. Many IT specialists see the country as a convenient place to live and work. Estonia has strong technological infrastructure, excellent internet, and a high level of digital security. But this system also has another side. Estonia is moving toward digitalization very quickly, and for people who are not used to such systems, adaptation can sometimes be difficult. In addition, despite its modern image, the country remains fairly small. There are fewer opportunities here compared to the larger countries of Europe. And yet, it is exactly this combination of calmness and technology that makes Estonia unique.
Tallinn is the heart of the country. By European standards, it is a relatively small city, but that is exactly where its strength lies. There is no feeling of a giant megacity swallowing people whole. On the contrary, the city feels comfortable to live in. Tallinn's old town looks almost like something from a fairy tale. Narrow streets, ancient buildings, towers, and cobblestone roads create the atmosphere of medieval Europe. But just a few minutes away, you can find modern offices, new residential districts, and technology hubs. This contrast between the past and the future feels especially strong. Other cities in Estonia are even calmer. Life there moves slowly and without rush. In general, the rhythm of life in Estonia is very different from many other European countries. People here do not like excessive emotionality. Everything happens calmly, in an organized way, and without chaos. For introverts, this atmosphere can feel perfect. But for those who are used to constant movement and noise, Estonia can sometimes feel too quiet.
Estonia's economy is considered one of the most successful among the Baltic countries. The country has developed especially strongly in the fields of technology, IT, and digital services. Many international companies operate from here, and startup culture has become an important part of the economy. For technology specialists, Estonia looks very attractive. But it is important to understand, the country's market is relatively small. The number of job opportunities is limited, and competition in the best industries can be quite high. Salaries here are higher than in many Eastern European countries, but lower than in the wealthy Scandinavian nations. At the same time, the cost of living is gradually increasing. This is especially noticeable in housing rent and utility costs. In addition, the climate and mentality do not suit everyone.
Even good working conditions do not always compensate for the feeling of isolation that some foreigners begin to experience over time.
Many people still think of Estonia as a cheap country, but that has not really been true for a long time. Life here is becoming more and more expensive, especially in Tallinn. Housing rent, groceries, electricity, and services are gradually reaching the price levels of wealthier European countries. At the same time, salaries are not growing as quickly. Because of this, many residents are becoming more careful with their spending. Utility bills become especially noticeable during the winter months. Due to the cold climate, heating costs can be quite high. Food products in Estonia are high quality, but prices for many goods are higher than newcomers expect. On the other hand, the country remains extremely convenient for everyday life. Everything is organized in a compact, logical, and efficient way. And that is exactly why many people are willing to accept the higher costs in exchange for the overall level of comfort.
Estonians are often considered some of the calmest and most reserved people in Europe. They rarely show emotions in public, dislike intrusive communication, and highly value personal space. For people from more emotional cultures, this can initially seem like coldness. But over time, it becomes clear that Estonians simply express their attitude toward people in a different way. Here, it is not common to talk too much without a reason. If someone smiles or offers help, it is usually sincere rather than just polite behavior. Many foreigners notice that friendships with Estonians develop slowly, but once relationships become close, they can become extremely reliable people. Respect for peace and independence plays a major role. People try not to interfere in others' lives and expect the same attitude in return. It is also interesting how strongly the connection with nature is felt in Estonia. Even city residents enjoy spending time in forests, by the sea, or outdoors in nature. Overall, the Estonian lifestyle feels very quiet. There is less rush, less noise, and less need to show off. For some people, this becomes a true escape from the modern world. For others, it can create a feeling of loneliness.
Estonia's climate does not suit everyone. Winter here is long, cold, and dark. Daylight hours become very short, and sometimes people can go for weeks without seeing much sun. For many newcomers, this becomes one of the hardest parts of living here. Autumn and winter can feel too gray and too quiet. But in summer, the country changes completely. The days become long, nature comes alive, cities fill with people, and a completely different atmosphere appears. Nature, in general, plays a huge role in life in Estonia. There are forests, lakes, and sea coastlines everywhere. Even near cities, it is easy to find peaceful natural places. Estonia does not try to impress people with brightness or extravagance. Its beauty is calmer, quieter, and deeply northern. And that is exactly why it especially appeals to people who grow tired of the noise of big cities.
One of Estonia's biggest advantages is the sense of safety. The country feels calm and well-organized. Crime rates are relatively low, and the cities seem comfortable for everyday life. Many people experience a strong sense of psychological calm here. There is no feeling of chaos, constant pressure, or an aggressive urban atmosphere. The quality of life in Estonia is built not on luxury, but on comfort and stability. Good internet, clean cities, digital services, nature, and order create the feeling of a modern and comfortable society. But at the same time, life here can feel too quiet and too slow for people who are used to a more active environment. Estonia has many strong sides: modern technology, safety, calmness, cleanliness, and organization. For many people, this becomes the perfect combination. But there are also downsides. The climate, high cost of living, small market, and sense of social distance do not suit everyone. In addition, the country remains relatively small, and over time, some people begin to feel a lack of variety and dynamic energy.
Estonia is one of those countries that is almost impossible to understand at first glance.
It does not try to impress tourists with luxury, giant skyscrapers, or endless entertainment. There is no feeling of loud and flashy life that immediately grabs attention. On the contrary, Estonia feels quiet, calm, and even slightly reserved. That is exactly why many people underestimate this country at first. But the longer someone lives here, the more they begin to notice details that once seemed invisible. The main feature of Estonia is the feeling of inner order. Everything works calmly and predictably here. People respect personal space, government systems are organized conveniently, and everyday life does not feel like a constant battle against stress and chaos. For many foreigners, this becomes the most unexpected discovery. Estonia does not try to appear perfect for show. It simply creates conditions in which life becomes easier. And in the modern world, that feeling stands out more than ever. Many people who move here initially struggle with the unusual silence. After large and noisy cities, Estonia can feel too calm. Sometimes it can even create a sense of loneliness. There are fewer random conversations, fewer emotional displays in public, and less feeling of constant movement.
But over time, some people begin to realize that this calmness was exactly what they had been missing. Estonia almost seems to slow people down. It gradually teaches you how to live without unnecessary noise, without constant rushing, and without the feeling of an endless race. That is why many people say they begin to feel a special sense of psychological comfort here. Nature also plays a huge role. Forests, the sea, silence, fresh air, and short distances create a feeling of space and freedom. Even near cities, people never feel completely disconnected from nature. For residents of giant megacities, this becomes a striking contrast. At the same time, Estonia cannot be called an easy country for everyone. The northern climate does not suit all people. Long and dark winters can emotionally affect newcomers, especially those who are used to sunshine and an active urban lifestyle. In addition, some foreigners find it difficult to adapt to the local mentality. Estonians rarely open up quickly, and social distance is felt more strongly here than in many other European countries. Sometimes life here can feel too calm and predictable, especially for people who are used to a louder and more emotional atmosphere. But that is exactly what makes Estonia unique. It does not try to please absolutely everyone. It is almost as if the country says, if you need constant noise, chaos, and endless movement, you may find life here boring. But if you are looking for calmness, safety, and inner balance, you may truly feel at home here.
That is why Estonia creates very different emotions in different people. Some see it as too cold and too closed off. Others, for the first time in many years, finally begin to feel calm. Estonia is not a country about luxury or loud impressions. It is about comfort, technology, silence, and the quality of everyday life. And perhaps that is exactly why many people who originally come here for only a few months unexpectedly stay for years. Because over time, they begin to understand the true value of Estonia is hidden not in brightness or spectacle, but in the feeling of a calm and stable life, something many people deeply miss today.